Hi guys, I did not feel like making a dessert today. I thought instead it would be more fun if I went through all the dessert videos I've made so far and gave them a grade. You know, A, B, C, D, F. If you guys don't know my story, I started this show 2 years ago. Before then, I had never made a dessert, ever. Now I've made several of them. I think I'm much better. We're gonna find out. It is kind of unfair to compare my older efforts to where I am now, but that's the name of the game today. I'm gonna be harsh, but fair. Now, exactly what constitutes as a dessert? I'm going to include everything that I think is one, except for cookies. No cookies today. They can have their own video. Not today. I'm gonna start at the very top, which is the earliest videos, and I'm gonna work my way down. So let's start with episode 2, peach ice cream, cinnamon baked donuts. Hello, I'm Jamie Tracy, and welcome to... I don't know why I did that at the beginning of these episodes. It makes me cringe. So the peach ice cream, I was trying to make ice cream without an ice cream maker. I don't have an ice cream maker. Why would I? The donuts with I was using a muffin baking pan. The finished outcome, the ice cream was freezer burnt because there was no way to churn it. The donuts, they were misshapen because, well, that's not gonna work. This didn't really turn out. It wasn't very good. A D-. Okay, that's not a good start. Christmas fruitcake. I don't like fruitcake. Nobody likes fruitcake. To be honest with you, it kind of looks like shit. As far as fruitcakes go, I guess it was a decent fruitcake. But honestly, that's no excuse. Christmas fruitcake gets a D. Fruit tart, which I picked this one because it looked very pretty. And everything went pretty successfully up until the end when I had put all the fruit on top of it. The fruit juices started leaking all over the tart. Very damp eating experience. So the fruit tart only lasted like 10-15 minutes and then that was it. It's just soaking wet fruit juices. But it did taste okay.
Delightful.
I'm gonna give it a C. Chocolate souffle. I was really trying to figure out how to make a souffle at this point in my life, although I did not have the experience or the expertise to do so. I know this is like some race against time now that this has been properly beaten. I'm just trying to figure out what to do right now and get my mind on the game here. I really had no business trying to do this. The finished product resembled more of like a lava cake in a ramekin, but not a very good one. It was not a souffle. It did not rise at all. Honestly, this chocolate souffle is like a D. Tell me good news, episode 15, chocolate eclairs, jumbo size. These things were monsters. They were kind of difficult to make too. So, I mean, good on me for having something finished there, but overall, like, they don't look very appetizing.
Oh my God.
But that's deceiving because they were. They were delicious, yet funny looking. Chocolate eclairs, a C+. It's pretty good. We're moving up. Tell me good news with this next one. French macarons. Oh dear God. No, this is by far the saddest macaron I've ever seen in my entire life. This was just pathetic. They look stupid. They were basically inedible. This is the worst thing I've ever made. I'm pretty sure that Christy even tells me that.
I think this is the worst thing you've ever.
Yes, she does. Okay, so this was a failure. I'm gonna give this a resounding F. This is an F. Really, there's no way around it. Crack pie. My introduction into the milk bar world, which is now a mainstay in anti-chef lore. The crack pie was a success. I did forget a key ingredient. This bag of flour. As you can tell, the clip is still on the bag. I can't tell if I took the clip off and put it back on, or did I never take the clip off the bag, which I think resulted in the pie being kind of very difficult to bite through. It was like, just like, It wasn't very soft, and I've had an actual crack pie. It was very soft. This was not soft. The flavors were there, but something that wasn't perfect about it. How high should I go? I'm gonna give it a B-. I can do better, and maybe one day I will do better. The baked Alaska. This is, I really did try to make this thing, and by the time I tried to put this thing together, the wheels fell off. I just completely crumbled under the pressure. Last few minutes have been a blur. What I found was that the ice cream was melting far quicker than I could have ever imagined. And the finished product looked like shite. I didn't even get to eat this. This can join the Macarons and the worst things that I've ever made pile. This is an F. Japanese jiggly cheesecake is like fluffy, it's fun, you touch it and it literally jiggles. Now, my end product was dense, like the densest cheesecake you could ever make. This wasn't the goal. It was just all sunk. It was just sunk. It was not fluffy. And if I was trying to make a jiggly cheesecake, I failed in every possible way. I'm gonna give it a D-. Baklava. Good news, at last. I have to give myself high points for this because everything about this was baklava. Flavor, it looked like it was a success. And in a string of failures, this one shines very bright. Baklava gets an A-. Chocolate lava cake. I went through countless different versions trying to get it right. I really didn't want to do this, but I think I'm gonna try it one more time. 1, 2, 3. And at the end, I did figure it out, but it took all day. And by the time it was done, I had no appetite. So I didn't really eat it and enjoy it. So I have to deduct points on that. B+. This is the Blackberry crumb cake. I was trying to make a crumb cake. Honestly, this sucked. No. This is the most forgettable dessert I've ever made. What happened? That looks so stupid. This gets an F. The Milk Bar birthday cake. It was my first Milk Bar cake I ever made, and everything went successfully. Just a second. Hey, it's okay. Thank you very much, sir. Have a good one. Made it for my dad's birthday. He loved it. My mom loved it. I loved it. Everything was great.
No candles?
Oh my goodness.
No candles. Milk Bar birthday cake is an A+. A+. Churros. To be honest with you, this is kind of forgettable. By the time I was done these churros, it was just late again, and I didn't really have an appetite for anything of the dessert nature, so I was kind of just done for the day, to be honest with you. And that really affects the grade. I mean, I don't know why I dressed the plate to look like that. That looks ridiculous. It looks just like someone's already eaten them and just left them on the table. I'm giving the churros a C-. Peri breast, which is a circular choux pastry kind of dessert type thing. I don't even know what this really is. Someone told me to make it, so I made it, and it's the most extra dessert ever. I think it took me like I think it took 4 days. Yes, it is another new day. This Peri breast is really taking a toll on me. It just took so long to make it. By the time I ate it, I thought I was gonna eat the best dessert I've ever had. And it turned out to be just okay. I have to give myself something decent for this because it was a valiant effort. I'm gonna give myself a B- for the Peri breast. Apple pie that I made for my family Thanksgiving. This is not a good thing that I made. I think I just forgot that pie was supposed to be flaky. This was like pizza dough. Brought it to my family Thanksgiving. They couldn't even finish it. What's on everyone's plate over there?
Crust.
You didn't like the crust?
We wanted to.
I mean, if you can't really eat the thing, I have to give myself a D+. Again, just something that is not very good. Portuguese egg custard tarts, pastas de nata. These did not really turn out at all. I don't know, guys. Maybe I should just end this video now. I don't know what to say at this point. I'm embarrassed for myself. I'm just overworking that dough into something that is not very good. It's just like if you ever had an actual egg custard tart, they are like flaky, they are like a dream. And these were like a C-. We're talking now. I'm in Belgium here. I'm in my new kitchen. I'm learning how to make Belgian waffles the right way. And I practiced this one. I figured it out. I nailed it. If I just took one thing from this show, I'd take this. A+. Chocolate dipped macaroons. So in the end, these turned out. They were delightful. They were a nice little treat. Are they a dessert? I don't know. I think I even called the video chocolate dipped macaroons from heaven. And that is because that's what they tasted like. They tasted like a little bite of heaven. Look at me. I'm just quite taken with them. I can't give them an A+ because they were just a little too easy to make to put them all the way up there. I will give them an A. I think we're past all the huge embarrassing failures. I hope. Cinnamon rolls. These cinnamon rolls were terrific. They were very terrific. Very well made. I don't know what else to say. They were exactly like cinnamon rolls. What else to say about the cinnamon rolls? They get an A. The Milk Bar popcorn cake. Just maybe my best looking dessert to date. Like, this thing is beautiful looking, and it was very intricate, and it was delightful. I'm gonna give this an A. Okay, homemade Reese's peanut butter cups, which is my favorite candy bar ever. Chocolate, peanut butter, I love it, you love it. Now my peanut butter cups, they are a bit funny looking. They were quite tasty, but they melted really quickly in my hand. They're not exactly something I would put in the display case. I wouldn't show them off, but I would eat them. Were they as good as the actual thing? I don't think so. I have to give my Reese's peanut butter cups a B. Soft pretzels, that is not really a dessert. I don't know why I looped this in here. This does not qualify. This gets a DNQ. Sorry, you just don't count as a dessert. Barack Obama's favorite nectarine pie. This was the best pie I've ever had. Not lying, I'm not exaggerating, I'm not fabricating the story in any way. This was the best pie I've ever had. Look at the mess I'm making. I think if you make a mess with your crust, that's a good thing. The pie crust was crumbly. The filling of the nectarines, which is like one of my favorite fruits, that was perfect. Everything about this, I could not get enough of this. Everything about this was so on point. I have to give this nectarine pie an A+. Hot cross buns. Honestly, these suck. Spiced buns with raisins in them, not really my thing. And that all being said, I didn't even make them very well. Like, they look like crapola. You motherfucker. But I don't even think they're a dessert. These do not qualify. DNQ, chocolate Swiss roll. This thing looks fantastic, tasted as advertised, covered in chocolate ganache. I have to give this very high marks. I don't know how I made it look that good. Sometimes I surprise myself. I have to give this, I'm gonna give it an A. Red velvet cake that wasn't very red. Put so much food coloring in that. All I need is 2 tablespoons. I don't think I have enough food coloring. So I gotta go to the store. Just did not want to turn the color I wanted it to be. I made this for Christy's birthday. Happy birthday!
Oh my God!
She really enjoyed it. She vouches for it. She says it's one of the best things I've made. For me, it was very good, but it wasn't the best. I could do better now that I know things that I didn't hear. I have to give this a B. Lemon souffles. I was really just trying to improve my souffle game. While they were in the oven, they started to rise and I was like, oh, I finally got them. Took them out of the oven and they just sunk. They tasted okay. They weren't like especially special at all. They were just like kind of like an old dessert. It was a good effort. I'm gonna give it a C. The Milk Bar German Chocolate Jimbo Layer Cake. It was so good. I have fond memories of this cake. This may be my most favorite milk bar cake I've made. It gets an A+. That's the best. Oh, the Flourless chocolate torte. Now this was a recipe from a supporter of the show, and this is his very own recipe. He made it up. It was at a point where I was trying to like lay off the desserts a bit, so I put it in the freezer, out of sight, out of mind, but then I kept going back to the freezer, eating it frozen like a psychopath. Not the flashiest dessert you're ever gonna make, but it was still fantastic. An A-. Jelly donuts. Are they a dessert? They are today. These jelly donuts were out of this world. I wasn't expecting them to be as tasty as they were, and I could not stop eating these. Holy shit. A+. A+. Tiramisu, the first and only time I've ever had tiramisu. I'm sorry, but that is cheating. You gotta make your own ladyfinger biscuit cookie things. That's what I'm gonna do. Now, typically when I make these desserts, I always have someone else have a bite of it so that they can let me know what they think. Unfortunately, I was the only one that was able to taste test this thing, so not being an expert in the tiramisu world, I don't know if it was good or bad. I enjoyed it. I think it was a well-made tiramisu. I am going to give it a B+. B+, just because I don't know. I don't know. Canadian butter tarts from my homeland. Butter tarts are actually one of my favorite treats to have back home. I don't get them often, but when I do, it's just like always just out of this world. Now I did a good job with these. Filling looks a bit darker than they usually do back home, and the pastry was decent, but not perfect. Also, the filling looks a bit runny. Oh, I'm gonna give these butter tarts a B+. My second attempt at macarons. Now, my last attempt was an F. We're getting there. We're getting there. They were very delicious, but they were still not exactly what I'm trying to achieve. They are one of the hardest things I've ever tried to make. They're one of the most frustrating things I've ever tried to make. I think I did an okay job, and still a lot of work to be done here. I'm gonna give myself a C for now. Peach galette. I have to tell you something about this peach galette that I've never told anybody. I put too much salt in the pastry, and I pretended like everything was cool in the video. Now it looks beautiful, and it should have been a lot better than it actually tasted, but because of that mistake, I have to give it a lower score. I have to give it a C. I know it looks better than a C, but just wasn't. The New York style cheesecake, the best cheesecake I've ever had. I did this little thing here. I didn't have graham crackers as the crust, I used speculoos. Pulse your graham crackers or your speculoos into crumb. That took it to another stratosphere. This was a low-key A+. Pavlova, which is this dessert from New Zealand. I saw it on MasterChef Australia. I wanted to make it. It was my first time ever baking a meringue. Everything turned out. It was delightful. I'm gonna give it an A-. Homemade Pop-Tarts. Let me just get this out of the way now. Those are an A+. Everything about them was perfection. Pastry, the jelly, the icing on top. I couldn't stop eating them. Anyway, homemade marshmallows. Are they a dessert? Today they are, because they were homemade. I'm not a huge marshmallow guy. These were very good, but I mean, I eat too many of them, I start to get a bit nauseous. That's how I feel right now. I was more curious in just how you made them more than anything, and well, not that difficult. I'm gonna give them a solid B, just because they were good, but I don't know, marshmallows. S'mores. These were more just kind of an attachment to the marshmallows. I used the marshmallows in the s'mores with some homemade graham crackers, put it all together, s'mores. I'm gonna give it a B and I'm gonna move on. Just kind of, they were there. No churn, chocolate peanut butter ice cream. The last time I made ice cream, that got a D-. Now this isn't like the standard way of making ice cream, I don't find. This is more of like a cheat, but it was still super tasty. I'm gonna give it an A-. Vegan black bean brownies. They don't come anywhere close to actual fudge brownies. I know I was really excited about them when I made them, but some time has passed. I've come to my senses. They are merely fine. And they're just gonna stay fine. That's it, because they're made out of black beans. There's no fudge in there. I'm sorry. It's nice to know that you can make a brownie without using chocolate. using vegan ingredients, but I mean, also I added too much coconut oil in these. Now these specific black bean brownies, I'm sure there's better ones out there. The ones I made with the too much coconut oil, I'm gonna give them a B-, just so I don't ruffle any feathers. B-, okay? Cool. Milk bar banana cream pie. Now this is the first dessert I made after taking somewhat of like a sugar hiatus last year. It was for a couple months and then I made this thing and I was back. First sugar fix I've had in over a month. So it's hit me really hard right now. I gotta get it out of my face. Look at the dancing. The crust was a standout, but unfortunately it was very runny. Like when you cut it open, it just spill all over the place. That's probably my fault, but that's what I had. So I'm gonna give it a B for banana. The Milk Bar pumpkin pie cake. I am really proud of how this turned out. It was a lot of work. What do you need besides a pumpkin? And in the end, I got something really delicious out of it. I gave it to a bunch of other people. They all gave me 2 thumbs up. I'm gonna give it a solid A. A rainbow cake, which I've wanted to make for so long. I was just too scared to do so. Then I finally did, and let me tell you, it was okay. Now you look at the colors of this cake and you think it's gonna be the most fun you've ever had in a cake. Boom, 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 boom. And it's just kind of tastes like a cake. It was still very good, but it's just a cake. An ordinary cake with big flashy colors. When you're biting into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different layers of cake, I don't think you want it to be as dense as it was here. That may have contributed to this grade being lower than maybe it could have been, but this is gonna be a B+. Chocolate malt cake from Milk Bar, a near perfect cake, nearly. What does the Milk Bar chocolate malt cake taste like? Chocolatey delicious. Chocolatey delicious. I'm gonna give this an A. Is that it? Oh man, this was hard work. Gordon Ramsay's sticky toffee pudding. There was some sort of miscommunication with the recipe I was reading. His recipe says, add the cream and pass through a fine sieve. Why is his recipe so brief? And as a result, I have to give it a B. Can't imagine how much better it would have been if the cake wasn't so damn dry. Now I know. I mean, the problem is that I'm making all these for the first time and that's why all these grades are so low. The Milk Bar peppermint bark cake, which I made for the holidays. It was stupendous, really. Bring it where you're going, potlucks, family dinners, throw it down on the table and say, Merry f***ing Christmas. Didn't think that I would be such a huge fan of peppermint and chocolate together. I don't know, it doesn't seem like that's my bag, but it worked wonders with me. You know, I enjoyed every bite. A or an A-? An A. The Baked Alaska Redemption Tale. I needed this. This was a big win for me, especially after the huge failure of the first time I made it. I was focused, I knew what I needed to do, and I pulled it off. Somehow, some way. And you know, it's just because it's the most complicated dessert in the world doesn't mean it's the best dessert. It's just very complicated, but very tasty. Now just getting it finished is all I really care about, and well, I got to play with fire. So I'm gonna give myself an A for effort. Okay, so I'm done here. Some of the worst things that I've made. I want to include like the Japanese jiggly cheesecake or the chocolate souffle. There are very specific things I was trying to make and I failed in every imaginable way. Like not even remotely close to what I was aiming for. But there's so many worse things than that. Like the peach ice cream and cinnamon baked donuts that were shaped like muffins. That's really bad. My first attempt at a baked Alaska, but I didn't get to taste that, so I don't really know. The Blackberry crumb cake. I'm still confused as to what exactly that is. And macarons. My first attempt at macarons is by far the worst thing I've ever made. Hard to look at, disgusting to taste. These macarons suck. They suck real bad. The rest of... So some of my favorite desserts. There's 2 milk bar cakes here, the birthday cake and the German chocolate jimbo layer cake. 2 things that aren't quite desserts, but whatever. Belgian Liège waffles, jelly donuts. There's also homemade Pop-Tarts. Those were really fucking good. The best desserts I've ever made. Coming in at number 2 is the New York style cheesecake. And number 1, nectarine pie. It's the best pie I've ever had. And it's the best dessert I've ever made so far. That's it. That's it. This is a bit of a departure from my usual type of videos, but I didn't really want to cook today. So I wanted to try something new. I hope you liked it. If you did, let me know. I can make more of them. Make sure you're subscribed. There's a link for my Patreon in the description down below. You can head over there, check it out, or you can not. That's totally cool too. I'll see you guys soon. Ciao.